How about them tops, son?
All day, SEC boys. SEC, they supposed to be SEC. Crazy all day, baby.
You're listening to the RedOUT Podcast.
Welcome into another RedOUT Podcast. I'm Jake.
Hey, we got Devin here. We've got Jared.
We have Radio Silence.
And we got Matt. The only one we're missing is Ross tonight, and he said his wife wouldn't let him come play, so it's just us guys tonight. So
I'm still technically the fake Ross, so we're good.
Yep, Jared is the fake Ross. We don't have the real Ross. So appreciate you all being patient since we didn't have an episode last night. Inside story for you all into my personal life. I have been getting more responsibilities at work with my wife being pregnant. So I get called into work every now and then, and since they're doing remodeling in one of the bathrooms, I'm getting that title thrown on me as well. So there's that.
No.
So this episode is brought to you by my buddy Mike Worthington, who is covering for me tonight. So he wanted a shout out. So there you go, buddy.
Yeah.
So basically, on my day off, on my day off, I worked 5 hours. So it was fun. And so you know the partitions that are in bathrooms? That's what I had to put back. Those suckers are heavy.
Ooh.
Those suckers suck. I was so disgusted at the end of the night. I was convinced I could hide the bodies if I was going to murder someone, but that's not a confession of guilt. That's just a frustration.
That's how I felt, guys.
Yes, so loser me because I had to do all that stuff. But anyway, Jared, do you have any winners or losers?
Yes, I do. As
Besides
someone
the
that
Dolphins?
loves fall weather, I will consider residents of South Central Kentucky winners, especially this Saturday for the game. I think it's only supposed to be a high of 61 in Bowling Green on Saturday for the Army game, and it's going to be a low of 37. And I hope that kills every single mosquito anywhere near this freaking area because I'm so sick of it.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
done. As someone that had to work outside at a summer camp from May until August, I am ready for some cooler weather.
But you
I was
went
in
to bed
Indianapolis this past weekend. It was so nice. It was an actual respectable temperature for this time period. It's not 90 degrees. So I'm ready for some cool weather. So winners equals people that like cooler weather, I guess.
So I was going to say you went to bed as soon as the sun set, so I don't know what the problem was.
Still, I mean, the very moments that I actually do have to go outside now, it's still miserable. But not for long.
So, I guess I gotta throw this out there just because, losers Cowboys, whoop whoop, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, not
Packers
sorry,
fan.
guys.
I forget about that.
Yeah, they've...
Thank you for that, though.
They
I love
lost.
seeing Jason Garrett get so mad. It was so funny.
I love the memes where he's just clapping, because it's so great, because that's all he ever does is just, he's on the sidelines and he's clapping, and I'm like, what do you do, man?
It's why are you happy?
Yeah, I know, it's
Cowboys.
Well, he's getting paid, so, I mean, I guess he's beating me, but...
Through that.
So, Jake, winners, losers.
Dude, you already know who my winner's going to be, right?
Who's your winner?
The frickin'
49ers.
Niners, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
4-0. Beat the terrible garbage dumpster Browns 31-3. Absolutely ate Baker Mayfield, which is fantastic. Nick Bosa just planting flags literally the whole game anytime he sacked Mayfield, which was awesome.
That does sound awesome.
Yeah, so that's my winner. Loser?
Loser?
Loser's been a good week.
I was going to say, I don't know.
Yeah, I would probably say my loser would be the NBA because of the whole thing going on with China and them. I don't know if you guys read into that or not.
Yeah, that's
a
a
mess.
good call. That is a hilarious loser.
Okay, so I have not read into it, so why don't you give me just a little scoop?
Jake, I'll let you take that.
Oh, okay. Well, so Devin, are you familiar with the protests going on in Hong Kong right now?
Oh, yeah. I know about the protests.
Okay, well, so some people, it was the Rockets, right, Jared?
He's not listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was the Rockets.
Okay, anyway. Yeah,
Sorry, let's get
so
into
the people on the Rockets were just very vaguely. I'm talking just a little bit of like liking the tweet or like one little comment, we're like, yeah.
Okay. I know where you're at now, but go ahead.
Yeah, and the NBA was like, no, we support Hong Kong, we support China, and we respect their culture, and everybody's like, so you're just going belly up to China because you have a bunch of money there and suppressing free speech.
Yep.
Like, no. We love free speech, except for when it's bad-mouthing China. And then to top it all off, at a press conference, they actually had a CNN reporter there because they were like, hey, this is an actual news deal and not just sports ball. So this woman was like, she asked a legitimate question about the whole China thing and suppression of free speech and all that. And they were like, yeah, we're not going to answer it. The players aren't going to answer that. And she's like, it was a legitimate question. They're like, yeah, well, we've already discussed that. She's like, no, this question hasn't been asked before, and it hasn't been asked to these people. It's a legitimate question. And they literally just like took the mic from her and like wouldn't let her answer the question. So they had to issue another statement being like, hey, we promised that was just a mistake, and we didn't mean to do that, and we're real sorry.
So they legitimately
free speech.
They legitimately suppress someone's free speech at a news conference.
Took away. Yeah.
What a bunch of jackholes.
Yeah, it was really bad. And plus, on top of all of that, I mean, NBA basically is like cut down on all of the media stuff that they were doing. They took down a bunch of the advertisements advertising some of the games they were having in China. They even removed all of the Houston Rockets merchandise from like the NBA China website, which the Rockets used to be like the face of Chinese like NBA teams because of Yao Ming and everything. Yeah. Like that was the team that they all cared about. But now with all of this happening, then they don't really care about them anymore. They're probably going to like the Brooklyn Knicks, and not the Nets. God, the Nets. Their new manager is Chinese, so that's probably who they're going to root for now, if anybody.
I was going to say, I figured that North Korea would be fans of the Rockets, but it's whatever. But anyway, so there. Okay, y'all know how big a South Park fan I am. I know they're vulgar or whatever, but there is an episode where one of the newest seasons, Randy is trying to sell his Tegrity Farm marijuana to the Chinese. And on the flight over, there's the NBA and there's Disney, and they're trying to basically do whatever they want, and it's a really funny episode. Randy's completely stupid, and he takes weed with him and gets arrested. So check the episode out.
Speaking of rockets, my favorite South Park episode is the one where they try to send the whale to outer space and they go to the Mexican, and then, like their equivalency of NASA. That's still such a funny one.
Oh my gosh, that episode cracks me up so much.
Send me home.
He goes, he's like, what was it, Zelbiak or something is the whale's name?
Something like that.
Oh my gosh. And you're just like, dudes, y'all, that was not funny. Y'all are so retarded. So, I'm glad we've got you and Matt on here tonight. We actually, you two got to sit down last week with Todd Stewart, and it was really cool. I will say, I'm going to make fun of Matt here just for real quick. I think if you all wanted to create a drinking game, every time Matt said, okay, absolutely, you would be wasted by the end of that interview.
I thought you were going to go with absolutely.
Absolutely?
Yeah. He said, that was said a lot too.
Absolutely, and okay. Because it was
I was horrified by absolutely.
I will say it is a lot of pressure, though, because you have all these questions in your head. You know exactly what you're going to say, and then you try to say something, and then nothing comes out right. Like, I stuttered all over the question that I asked, and I only asked one question, so it was kind of good that Matt did it all. He did a lot better than I would have.
Matt did a good job. I'll give him that. He's not, as far as I know, Matt, you never took any reporting classes or anything like that at Western. So, I mean, for an amateur reporter, you did a great job, bud. So I'm not knocking you or anything.
I was in broadcasting for 2.5 years. So.
Okay, I take that back. Oh my gosh!
I dropped out. I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
Oh, that's awesome.
On that note, you did decent, buddy. I'm sorry. No.
You did okay.
Well, of course, Matt got warmed up by doing the interview with Casey Tinius. If you want, you can check that out. That's on our midsummer episodes. And, I mean, that was a real fun episode to look back on. You all talking about that. Now, as far as the Todd interview, what did you take away from it? I'll go to you, Matt, since you asked a lot of the questions.
Okay, yeah. Well, first of all, I think it's great that Todd was willing to do that.
Oh, amazing, yes.
It's pretty cool that the AD is willing to sit down with basically a blog and have a conversation and be on the record and all that. I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Really good for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I love about Todd is, he's willing to do those kinds of things, and he's a real guy and all that stuff. And he's had several conversations with us.
This is
the last, I guess, year or so. Right?
I was going to say, I think you and Jared have sat down with him several times off the record and talked to him, and now this is probably the first one on the record, as in getting to record it. So yeah.
So first of all, I just think that's pretty cool. But I thought there was a few things that were pretty interesting and had a little meat to it, and I thought it was interesting about he's talking about the fall sports and everything, and how I'm glad I asked the question about Alyssa Kavanaugh. Because I do, it's definitely something that volleyball kind of gets pushed to the wayside in a lot of ways. I mean, not a lot of people pay attention to that, but it's a huge deal that the volleyball team is doing so well, and I thought it was a cool moment that he was able to comment on that.
Yeah.
I think it is interesting. One thing about the HSSN on Facebook, I mean, the fact that he said that there's several thousand people watching those episodes, I think that's great. I didn't really expect it to be that much at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
But it's a huge opportunity for those programs to get seen, and especially when there wasn't really much of a window for that. So that's a couple of quick thoughts.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I thought it was a great interview. I think y'all did great. Of course, for those of you who don't know, Alyssa Kavanaugh, what kind of cancer did she have, Matt? Do you remember?
It's leukemia.
Okay.
She still has it.
She still has leukemia. Okay. For some reason, I thought she was in remission, but okay, yeah. So, prayers out to you, bud. We're thinking about you. And, I mean, with that HSSN, blah, 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 I think it opens the door for a lot of those sports that, people may not have the schedule that they can actually go to, but they can actually watch these sports. And, the athletes actually get to see, for instance, volleyball, who's got maybe 20 people in the stands, at a certain night, they could say, okay, well, there was, 1,500 people watching or whatever. So it makes them feel, at least important, in that retrospect, instead of, nobody showing up, but, there's still people watching. They just may not have the ability to go. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's great. I was really enthralled as far as the basketball stuff. Jared, what did you think, bud?
Yeah, that was definitely fun to kind of learn about, was how so many of the Power 5 schools are basically scared to play us in men's basketball, especially Indiana, Ohio State, Georgia. I think those are the ones that turned it down. But I think that's really smart what he's trying to do right now. Like, just getting the big name for football to where you still get a whole lot of money from getting beat by someone like Alabama or whatever. But being like, all right, we'll take a little bit less money, that is, if you play us in a home-and-home of men's basketball. And, I mean, with Western being the prestigious program that it has been, and, of course, with Rick Stainsbury, the talent that he has this year, I don't blame someone like Indiana for not agreeing to that. I mean, Western's going to be pretty legit, and you saw what's happened with Wisconsin and possibly even Arkansas this year. I mean, coming to Diddle Arena. At least Louisville has the guts to play Western, as much as I hate them. So shout out to y'all for once, for not being total cowards and actually coming to Diddle Arena. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. I thought it was funny that all of those teams were scared to play Western.
I think they heard that we had hookers.
I was gonna say that last week, and I was like, no, I'll skip over that. But yeah, Jake, what were you gonna say, bud?
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think you'll see a lot less of the cowardice side from U of L now that they kind of cleaned house of all the people that didn't want to play in Bowling Green anymore. I don't think Chris Mack's too scared to deal with in-state schools anymore.
I don't think
he's kind of, not a turd.
I don't think he was scared either. Of course, Western, from Louisville's perspective, they've got to take care of business as far as playing Western, and I mean, that's a team that you either have to go out and dominate or you have to make sure it's not close. Yeah. I mean, that's basically the same thing I just said. But anyway, you don't want anybody saying, well, it was close, Western almost beat them, because then it's like, well, it's the win-win for Western like we always talk about, but we've got to get those bigger schools to come in. I mean, it's money, and it's a lot more opportunity for Western. I mean, Wisconsin, like when we had Vanderbilt, but home and homes, those were nice.
Like one thing I'd love to see happen, this wasn't discussed or anything, but I would love to see Western play more of like those like middle of the, and not G5, but still like dominant basketball schools like VCU's, Butler's, stuff like that. I would love so much a home and home with Butler. I think that would be an incredible match. They're always really good. Plus, taking a road trip to Hinkle Fieldhouse would be awesome. That's a really awesome venue for basketball. So maybe one day we'll see. Like I'd love to see us play some like Cincinnati or Xavier, some of the like regionally close, like within a 3-4 hour drive kind of teams that are good.
Yeah, I mean that might be something y'all could bring up on the next. Yeah, exactly.
Todd, if you're listening,
bring it up on the next interview you all have with him. And hopefully Todd is listening. But that was my wife and I sat and listened, and it was a really interesting interview. It was a really great opportunity. So from those of us who write at the Towel Rack and on the podcast, we appreciate it, Todd. Thanks a lot, bud.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so
your cousin is pretty cool.
Yeah, cousin Todd. It was nice of him.
That's right.
I was like, hey, throw that out there for us if you don't mind. He's like, yeah, sure, I got your back.
No problem. So,
speaking of the other sports, Ross is not here tonight. Usually he does a lot better job than I'm going to do tonight. So, basically, volleyball is on top of everything. They're always good. Soccer is going to hit the road to take on UTEP. I don't know when that is. That's today. That's tonight. That's tonight at 7 o'clock. No, 9 o'clock Eastern, I'm sorry. So, and then volleyball plays again on the 11th, so that's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Central. So catch those on HSSN, I think. Yeah, like I said, Ross is so much better at that than I am.
Yeah, all the home games are on HSSN on Facebook.
Okay, so yeah, that's a negatory. I'm watching those on HSSN. The girls' soccer is in El Paso, and then women's volleyball's at what is that? Fort Lauderdale, Florida Atlantic. Yeah, they're in Florida. So yeah, and then football's got the 12th. Excuse me, these allergies are awful. So
tell me about it.
Skipping ahead, as I was just saying, Western played ODU last week, and we did awesome. Which Western won 20-3, and I mean it was a very drudgy game, but it was still fun to watch.
See, I noticed something this past weekend, too, is that Western does better the further away I am from Bowling Green. I don't know if that's a correlation or not, but that's a really interesting development, if so.
We got to move you, to Alaska is what you're saying.
Yes. I was thinking, Russia or something.
Russia? Oh, poor guy. Why don't we let's go to the UK, and then we'll worry about Russia later.
Maybe.
Yeah, there we go.
So, with this game, I'm pretty sure, as we talked about before the show, ODU had a cousin that wired it because it sounded awful. The static was awful on the ESPN Plus broadcast. Go ahead, Jake.
It was so echoey. It sounded like they were talking on two cans attached by string. It was just. It was an absolute disgrace.
I actually just turned them off, and that's what I told somebody on Facebook. The best advice I can give anybody is to mute the TV if it's an away game and turn on your phone or computer or whatever, turn on the IG Sports Network with Randy Lee and Leo and just let them do it. They may be a few seconds.
If you get that synced up, it's so much better.
If you can get it synced up. They're either a few seconds slow or a few seconds fast. Which, I mean, either way, it's kind of a spoiler, but it's fun. To hear them
if you're
talking.
Streaming, you can kind of sort of get it.
Yes, but I mean, it's a lot better than listening to static or listening to a pro FIU, pro ODU team, and that's the biggest reason I turned them off last time. So, but Western is sitting big 3-0 in conference, and unless something changes, they've got 3 games left. They have to win to go bowl eligible. If they don't, it'll probably be the biggest meltdown in Western history. So,
you know what's really wild though, Devin? It is currently October 10th, and Western has this many wins in football as they did all of last season right now.
Oh yes, oh yes, you would be correct. Yeah, and we messed the bed. We peed down our leg, as Jake says, against ODU last year. So, I mean, if you're looking at the
winning
stats,
those 50-50 games is so important.
Yes, you're correct. Western was. Let me go back just real quick. Western had 320 total yards, and they held ODU to 163. Western,
that was one of the lowest that Old Dominion has had in years.
Yeah, I mean that's crazy. And what was the guy's name? Smart? No, Strong. Strong was the quarterback, or Smart was the quarterback. I'm sorry, Strong was the running back. Yeah, Smart actually, I thought he played a fairly decent game. Yeah, Smart did a fairly decent job. I thought he had an interception, and I mean, of course, I don't know about you all, but I thought that. Oh my gosh, what was his name? The interception that they called back. Who was that on? Who caught that pass? It was a big boy. I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but that was I love watching those. Okay, big guys getting interceptions is the most fun for me.
That kind of interceptions are the best interceptions.
Yes, and he ran it all the way back, and then it got called back on a BS call.
Oh yeah,
which those refs were awful. I'm sorry.
Welcome to the Conference USA.
Yeah.
That's why there's a whole different page dedicated to
Jalen George.
I think you're right. I think it was George. So yeah, that got called back. I mean, there was even a call on ODU, which I'll take it. Don't get me wrong, but I went, what? What was that? That was an awful call. And then we're getting calls for people that aren't even on the field, or they're screwing up numbers, and it's just like, oh my gosh, this is too much.
I wonder if Ellis was screaming out of the press box at ODU.
Probably. I hope so.
I was going to say he probably had his cup up to his mouth screaming it, so yeah. Come on! Yeah, so I mean, even though ODU had such a great running back, Western held him to 55 yards rushing. So that looks really positive to me coming into the Army game, where basically they run the option every play. And ODU only had like a little over 100 yards passing, so that's awesome as far as I'm concerned. Now, here's where the game changes. ODU had 9 penalties for 78 yards. Western only had 4 for 43 yards. So, I mean, that's positive. That's the game changer right there as far as I'm concerned. With Western keeping the offense basically off the field and forcing them into penalties, they had no chance. They were 2 for 14 on 3rd downs and 2 for 4 on 4th downs. You ain't going to get any better than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like we were talking the other day. Defense wins championships, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just trying to...
Dad answer to football.
Yeah, I'm trying to trigger Jake here, so... Yeah, and I mean, story
through...
Jake's
favorite thing is cliches.
Oh my gosh. Cliches are the worst, but some of them are pretty funny to me. Story through the 1 interception, it was going to happen. I mean, the way that play worked out, I wouldn't sweat that. I'm sorry. That was a...
on story, one of the things, I shared an article where they, Pro Football Focus ranked all the quarterbacks in the country from 130 to 1, and then they started breaking down how they did it, like, interceptable passes and like good passes versus bad passes, and going into like good situations and bad situations and all that, not necessarily just their overall stats. And Story's kind of like right in the middle, a little above the middle at 61, they said, which I feel is fair because he's completing stuff at a high clip, but he's also still not he's not throwing the ball away like we've had in the past, but he's also not really lighting it up. Otherwise, he really is this like kind of game manager who, I will say, the only frustrating thing is missing a couple of those wide open shots where there's 40 yards of green in front of our receivers. Or a little blue pass into the end zone which he overthrew. That was so. Oh man, that hurt my soul.
Are you talking about the Josh Simon one?
Yeah, man, that hurt me.
That was
a jump pass.
I can't blame him on that though. I mean, I don't know how many times they practiced that in practice. It felt like
interviews.
Yeah.
So the interviews from the coaching staff said that was kind of exactly what they drew up. Like that was all designed to go that way. It didn't happen. Now to
as Randy Lee and Leo were talking about, that's the same play that Tim Tebow did. God knows what 15 years ago, probably by now.
About 10.
Yeah. So, I mean, and honestly, that play felt like Tyson Helton reached in his back pocket and pulled out a napkin and was like, "Okay, this is what we're going to do, guys." And I was like,
"No, I mean, and he had it. He drew it up exactly right." And he even defended Story. He's like, "That's a hard play. You have to be in the right position at the right time and make just the right pass." Because he did have to get it over several dudes. But man, it's just sometimes just like, dude, there's a few times where if he could just dial it in, like you'd be, like Matt likes to say, like if he had dialed it in just a little bit more, you're talking instead of 20-3, it's like 34-3.
I'll take the W. I wouldn't care if it was 7-3. But yeah, I agree. There are some aspects. But and another thing too, this is his second game. This is only number 2 as far as playing in Conference USA, which I mean, it's so much more difficult than SEC. I mean, obviously. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So Jared,
it's not different at all.
No, not at all. I mean, Western basically dominates, so it's fine. So Jared, what did you think of the game Saturday, bud?
I wish I could say I saw anything happen from it, but I mean, I was in Indianapolis at a music festival, but I was seeing the updates, and I was really shocked. I was like, it's good to see the defense is looking that good. Of course, I mean, D'Angelo Malone, what can you say? Dude is a literal beast, absolutely killing it. One of the best defensive players we've had since... Oh man, it's been a while, but probably Quintarius Smith, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say Quintarius Smith or Andrew. Well, as far as defensive end, yeah, it's definitely Quintarius Smith.
But he's just been doing so much good for the defense. I mean, just looking at his stats, it's like unreal. He's like one of the top sack leaders in the country right now, and rightfully so. And I just hope he can keep that on pace for the rest of the season, because if Western's defense, I mean, they're the reason that they're definitely 3-0 in conference right now, is because what's wrong with the offense occasionally. Like, I mean, the run game struggled a little bit against UAB. And, of course, I mean, the Old Dominion game, they weren't really burning off the woods either way. I mean, it's good to have that strong defense to help kind of fill in the gaps and help you win some ball games.
So, yeah, and Quintarius Smith actually went by Q. Do you remember that, Matt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was, I think the funniest thing for me, side note here, is that I was sitting just watching some random NFL football game, and I look up and I was like, hey man, that looks like Q Smith. And I go, holy crap, it is Q Smith. When did he start playing for the Broncos? So then I had to dive down that honey hole to see when he started playing for them and all that good stuff. Matt, what'd you think of the game, bud?
Well, yeah, first of all, I'm talking about D'Angelo Malone. I would say he is the greatest that I've ever seen at Western.
Yeah, he's
tough.
Western
my whole life. I'm serious. I mean, think about it and look at his stats and everything. He's leading the team in tackles, and he's getting like 10 a game. It's not like he's getting 6 or 7. I mean, he's getting 9 or 10 a game, and it's been every game he's had that kind of production. So he's moving like a linebacker at defensive end.
Yeah.
And he's getting tackles for loss, and he can play the run and the pass. One thing about Q, he was just straight up pass rush, and he couldn't handle the run. Q would just loop around the end and try to get a sack. Well, D'Angelo does everything, and it's almost like he moves like Iggy did, sideline to sideline. I mean, he's chased down running backs and stuff. I mean, he's really, without him, I'd say there would have been several runs that were busted for touchdowns that he came up behind somebody and caught them.
Yeah.
I mean, he's unreal. But
I mean,
I can't gush about him enough. He's amazing.
He is. He really is.
I mean, he's a freak, and I kind of came out of almost nowhere. I mean, he was a decently respected recruit, but I mean, he came in and he's just been incredible. So
he really has. I think the good combination is you've got D'Angelo Malone and then you've got Devin Key over top. So, and I think between the two of them, they are always around the play. No matter if it's a run, it's a pass, whatever. I mean, I'm pretty sure that D'Angelo Malone would be running, whatever that is. D'Angelo Malone would be running down a 60-yard pass, and Devin Key would be in front of the guy. So both of those guys are awesome as far as I'm concerned. Jake, what'd you think?
So as ugly as it was, I enjoyed the crap out of it. One, because it was so dominant, and two, just because of some of the hits that Malone and some other guys put on the quarterback and put on some of these dudes. We can talk about that in a minute. But it was, like you said, total domination. This team, as much as it frustrates you that they can't get their offense really going, like you said, you take W's and you take good things from it. You got the running game getting back on track. You've got a fairly mistake-free passing game. Again, not lighting the world on fire, but good enough to get the job done. You've got field goals being made. I mean, things are happening. It was just fun to watch and fun to not super-duper worry. Even though for most of the game I was worried, because it always felt closer than it was just because neither team could really execute super well on offense. There were, fits and starts. But by the end of the game, when Smart's just tossing balls out of bounds and looks like he's got his head on a swivel because he's scared to get his lunch money took by Malone again, it's just a really strong defensive team is fun to watch. So I hope they keep it up.
One thing I was gonna say was if you pick out a game that was truly won in the trenches, this was it. I mean, we completely dominated on both sides of the ball. The offensive line, kind of the start of the second half, you could tell that they were just done. They didn't want anything to do with them. They were just blowing them off the ball. And the defensive line, I mean, you had that one pick six taken back, but I mean, you really should count that as something that they did. And then just blowing up the line of scrimmage and killing the quarterback, and it was a great performance defensively, and it really had to do with up front.
I think I completely agree with everything you said there. And I mean, honestly, I think a lot of that game is probably going to be on the highlight reel for the defense as far as that's concerned. I mean, there's just not enough you can say about it. And I will say, let me check my stats real quick because I want to see something. I think Jake kind of had a cold take a couple weeks ago when, whether through text or on the show, said that where Lucky Jackson goeth, so followeth the team. And
I'm not the only one who has said that.
Okay, so you're not the only one. Okay, sorry.
Not picking. I've said that the whole season for sure.
But really, I mean, after this game, he really didn't do anything. It looks like Jacor Pearson and Quinn Jernigan are probably his most targets. Well, Lucky's in there at 4.
Yeah. So what I always said was, what we say is if the offense is to be good, make no mistake, in the Old Dominion game, the offense was not good. It was not explosive. It was not high scoring. It was not good. It was good enough. And this is, me being all pessimistic, is no. The defense was amazing, and it put on literal textbook display of how to just eat the cookies of an offensive unit. But our offense did not blow us. They were not great. They did good. They were not. They don't even do good. They were enough to get the win and to win by 17 because the defense absolutely just destroyed. If that was a game where you needed to score 35 points, you still need Lucky Jackson to perform, and I still do not believe that he's going to. And that's cool. That's fine. At this point, we don't need it. He's out there taking up coverage. Now, I will say, Lucky Jackson, hustle plays. The dude gets after stuff. Going after that fumble.
That's true.
The dude, he's out there trying. I don't want to throw them wrong. I don't think. I always just want to preface it with There was so much hype. There was so much he's supposed to be the guy. He's just not the guy, and that's okay. Like, he doesn't have to be.
He's not the Taywan Taylor,
and that's okay.
But I would say, like, if you're looking at the overall passing game, like, if we didn't have great tight ends, the passing game would be utter garbage.
Yeah.
And
for sure.
You need one more receiver to just get 50 yards every game. Like, Lucky has had a few games that he's gotten 50 or 60 yards. Pearson has mostly done that. I mean, he's been by far the most consistent. Jaquez Sloan has had a few good games, but he's had some that he just completely didn't exist. And we just had one more guy that would just get 50 or so yards every single game and be reliable. Then the offense would be completely to a new level, and instead of averaging low 300s, you'd be pushing 400 yards average, and that becomes a decent offense, or slightly above average.
Yeah. I will say, I am really loving the Jaquez Sloan. I know he only had one reception for 18 yards, but he's another one that I feel like is really flying around the ball and doing pretty good this year. Simon, poor guy. I mean, besides that I don't even know what you would call that, a fadeaway jumper right there, where they were trying to redo the Tim Tebow pass. He's done fairly well this year. Just not having a lot of targets. Do what?
He's got 4 touchdowns on 8 catches.
Oh, I know.
He hasn't the ball. He hasn't dropped the ball yet.
I just think I think people are seeing him, and I think after that UCA game, everybody was like, whoa, we got to cover him. And I think that's what's happened, is why his numbers are going down, is because people are on him. And I don't know what happened to Clayton Bush, but putting Garland LaFrance back there was pretty funny for me. It's not funny, haha, but it was just like, wow, really? Go for it, dude. He's averaging 20.
Quick, we'll give him that, yeah.
Yeah, that was Dayton Wade had one of our punt returns.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that was, and then Garland LaFrance had the kick return. Sorry about that. But yeah, hey, go for it, bud. Do your thing.
Clayton Bush had a grand total of 0 yards all season on punt returns. Like, he literally was at 0.
Dude, he fair catches every time.
He catches the ball. That's what matters.
Exactly.
Last week,
yeah.
He was at -4. But he had a 4-yard return, so he got back to even.
I honestly think that punt return is they take the jugs and they shoot it up there. For those of you who don't know, the jugs is the machine that throws the footballs. And they just shoot the football out, and they go, all right, fair catch it, Clayton. All right, that's it. All right, let's go to the next drill. Okay, we're good. All right. I am convinced that is their strategy for punt return. Just catch the ball. We'll start wherever you catch it from.
Yeah. Well, my question is, why is it called jugs? Why is it called the jugs machine?
Do you know, Matt? I have no idea why it's called the jugs machine.
I don't know, but I think isn't it spelled like Juggs? Like, maybe it's somebody's name.
I think it's the company. I think it's a company name.
Yeah.
Let me see. Jugs.
While we're talking about this reminds me of Jonathan Dowling.
Okay, first off, that guy was a character, so.
Yeah. Well, so like Devin, like the players,
yes,
especially like defensive players would love to mess with the jugs, like Hervey. He would try to catch every ball on the jugs without dropping it.
Yeah.
And he'd have 10 balls around his body, and then he'd finally catch one. It's pretty amazing, I guess, but it was just what are you going to use this skill for, dude? What's your purpose?
I like the guys that used to turn it up to max, and they would just start walking towards it, and you would shoot it at them. I mean, some of them would catch them, some of them would just hit them in the face, but it was really funny.
Yeah. Well, Dowling, I guess what I was saying, Dowling, he would practice one-hand catches or whatever because he thought he was Jesus of the secondary.
Yes.
And he's like, I catch it one hand out the jug, man.
First off, I know that's a really insider for those of you who don't know. But yes, Jonathan Dowling.
All 3 of you.
Yes, yeah. Jonathan Dowling was, he was the defensive, he was there 10, 11, I think.
Yeah,
that guy was,
right.
But the machine, I think, is called the Jugs. I have seen several. Yeah, the Jugs Sports. That's why it's called Jugs.
Because that's just the brand. What a great brand name.
Yes, but the actual machine is called the Football Passing Machine, just for you all that don't know.
No, it's just Jugs. That's boring. Football Passing Machine.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it has a required voltage. The U.S., it's 110. Overseas, it's 220. Jesus. Man. What are they shooting overseas?
That's why all their plugs are weird. Because they run super high voltage. That's why when you go overseas, you got to make sure you don't screw with the adapters too much, because it'll literally kill you.
Okay, so for those of you that learned, the Jugs machine is the brand name. It's not anything else. Yeah. So.
Rabbit hole from Jake. You're welcome.
Yeah. That's always sure. That was fine. I never had any idea what it was called. Okay, so. Is ODU a paper tiger? I mean, are they going to be worth the flip this year? The only team they beat is Norfolk. I feel
they're not even a paper tiger. They're not a tiger.
So it's a paper airplane that just...
They're technically a monarch tiger because that's their mascot, but that's how they are. That's what they are, is their mascot. They're a big fluffy tiger.
That's probably true, yeah.
Or lion, technically. Technically a lion, sorry.
It's the same difference. What were you saying, man?
I would say, I did a lot of breaking down of ODU for the game grades and all the whatchamacallit, keys to victory, yeah. And I thought Western was going to win. I mean, I didn't come out and say, hey, they're going to win, but one of my first points was don't screw up, because it felt like on most days there shouldn't be any problem beating them.
Yeah.
But the issue for me is their offense. Their defense is actually, it might be one of the best in the conference, but their offense is so anemic. They have no stars on their entire offense. There's nobody that stands out statistically or anything else, and they just don't have enough firepower. But I do think that they could beat somebody in the defensive battle if they get lucky and, score in the 20s or something.
No. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they have 2 or 3 wide receivers that were supposed to be really good? And I think 2 of them were hurt last week. Is that correct or no?
I don't know about if they're supposed to be really good or whatever. But statistically, if you just look at their stats, there's nobody that gets more than 58 total yards of offense. Per game, including receivers, running backs, whatever. And I think the running back was the one that caught. 15 yards out of the backfield a game, and he runs for 43 yards. So nobody really is explosive and produces that kind of stuff you need to have a really good offense.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing here. Looks like that's what I was just thinking. Looks like Layla Davis gets 161, so he's their leading rusher, and then that Keyshawn Strong is their leading receiver, who is a running back. So basically, it's like you said, they're just throwing stuff out of the backfield. Okay. I guess they're
screwed.
Paper mache, probably. You're right. This is probably going to be their, quote, rebuilding year. Sorry, I was just...
interested to see if Wilder keeps his job, because he's been there a long time, but they're probably going to go 3-9, or, I'd be shocked if they went more than 4-8.
I was going to say, you think they're going to go 3-9?
You got a few opportunities, and I don't remember who all they play from the West, but
looks like
that they could.
They got UAB, UTSA from the West.
UTSA and
maybe Charlotte.
Maybe
Charlotte. Maybe they might beat FIU though. FIU's in the bottom right now.
For example, if you have a team that doesn't play great defense and their offense is off, maybe they could steal one. If they get into the 20s, maybe get a pick six, something like that. I could see them competing with somebody like that, but it just wasn't a good matchup for them with Western.
I think they could have a Western, probably 3-9 year, because I think I agree with you. I think it's possible for ODU to get 2 more wins. Where those come from, I don't know. I don't think they'll beat FAU for sure. They may beat FIU. I don't think they'll beat the Blazers.
FIU's another one they could beat because FIU has trouble scoring. So
FIU
there's
and
a few
UTSA.
opportunities out there for them.
Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely, bud. Okay. Let's see here. So, sorry about that. For those of you who are really curious about ODU football, you can check out somebody else.
Whatever.
So, this week, we're going to play, not we, God help us if we did. Army Black Knights is coming to Western. We're going to play on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Cold take right now. Army is at 56.3%. Yes or no, Jared?
I think that's about right. And the FPI has been really accurate the last few games, especially. I mean, of course, Western was over for the Old Dominion game. I think they had it a lot closer than it was. This is like 71%, but I can't remember what the actual estimated total was going to be for that. But I think that's accurate. I mean, I know that Army's quarterback, he can throw the ball and he has some accuracy. He's good with that. It's just, I mean, with it being Army, they're going to run the triple option just about 80% of the time at least. I don't really see them deviating from that unless Western's really jamming them up in the middle through most of the game and not really getting anywhere with it.
The last game, just FYI.
Say what?
They passed 14 times in the last game.
14 passes against Tulane last week.
Yeah, which that's a lot for an Army team, and that might be why they lost. So, I mean, who knows? That is another thing to take into consideration. They just lost, and they were so stinking close to beating Michigan in the Big House as well. Army was, which is still hard to believe. It was a fumble in overtime that cost them that game. But I don't know which Army team we'll see Saturday. I'm not really sure, but I think that's pretty close. I would have Army winning, but only by a little bit. I don't know what their defense looks like, but, I mean, obviously we know what their offense looks like, so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
I agree. I think it'll be interesting. Their quarterback right now is sitting at 14 of 36 passing.
Beast.
Yeah, I know, right? So he's throwing under 50%.
Season 14 of 36?
Yes.
Because he completed 9 in the last game.
Yeah, he's 14 of 36. Let me see if I can pull up some numbers real quick. 2018, he was 51 of 93. Shut up.
He's good enough. Like, what happens with Army or Navy or whatever, of course they run the ball 10 million times.
Yes.
And then they just randomly pass and they're wide open because you got to commit everything to the run and then hope that they screw up the pass.
I think.
I mean, guys, they run 4 fullbacks on their team.
I don't think it's necessarily that you have to commit to it. I think you get lulled into the run.
Well,
the defenses just get lulled into it, and it's kind of like one of those things when you're a kid. It's like right, left, right, and then it's like left, real hard, and you're like, I'm pretty sure looking on ESPN's website, I'm going to screw this guy's name up. Connor Slumka has no neck. He has no neck.
Sounds about right.
He literally looks like his neck goes straight into his ear. His head is as wide as his neck.
Traps for days.
He does. He's got traps for days. He's he's their leading rusher right now. He's got 308 yards. So
here's something that I found.
What'd you find? Toe jam?
I was looking at Army. The 2 of their fullbacks have rushed 100 sometimes, 112 times.
Dang.
And they have not had a single loss on the year. They've always gained yardage.
Wow.
So, 2 of them have, for a total of I think it's 112 carries or something, have not had a single negative play.
Oh my gosh.
So to me, if Western can buck the trend at all and get any kind of pressure in the backfield, that's a huge win. The one thing I like about the matchup with Western is we're super disciplined this year tackling. I mean, we really do a good job getting people down on the ground the first time and don't have a lot of busted plays because of missed tackles.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge deal against Army. Just get them down. You gave up 7 yards on a pitch play, fine, but don't give up 15 or 25.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal with Army for me is just be solid, force them to march down the field 3 or 4 yards at a time, and eventually they'll screw up or get lose yardage or something. Try to pass it, whatever, and then you take advantage.
I completely agree. I was just looking at Army's schedule. It seems really padded to me. I mean, granted, they do have their teams that they play, and they did play Michigan this year, but, I mean, they got Air Force, VMI, Navy, and technically, Rice, but that's not really a good team either. I mean, looking straight down the schedule, you got Rice, they played Michigan, UTSA, Morgan, who is this? Morgan State. Tulane, Western, Georgia State, San Jose State, Air Force, UMass, VMI, Hawaii, and Navy. I just don't feel like that's that tough a schedule. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they are military schools.
I mean, and they're independent, too. I mean, technically, they don't really have anybody good. Yeah, so, I mean, I didn't realize New Mexico State was independent. Are they transitioning?
Really?
They were in the WAC.
I thought they were in the WAC.
Or something.
And then it dissolved.
So I guess they had to go into the
I guess they
got sent into the
WAC.
WAC.
In the Mountain West or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it's either the Mountain West or the WAC. I'm not really sure which one.
So
I thought they were in Mountain West.
So Steve, if you're listening, you can tell us in the comments. But Steve is great at keeping us straight. What did he say? The Bills actually went to 4. I saw that on the comments last week. They went to 4 Super Bowls and lost. I think we said 3 last week, so there we go.
I knew it was a decent amount of Super Bowls and never won, so, I mean, it is what it is.
I was going to say, doesn't count. They never won.
And then they lost to the Titans with the Music City Miracle, which was a forward pass, and I will die on that hill. I don't care what anyone says in this area.
Don't care, didn't review it, or didn't turn it over, who cares?
Nope, honestly, if I'm a coach and something like that happens, the next play, I'm like, get on the ball now, and you snap that sucker so they cannot stop this. Because the rule is...
if I was the opposing coach, I'd run out on the field and lay down until they forced me to move. Now, y'all are going to look at this.
I can see Jared laying out there in between the center and the long snapper and the holder going, no!
I'll take the penalty and have them review it and it possibly overturn and then do nothing.
Swoop them off the field from about 20 yards away and move on like there's no problem.
So
if you have a little more weight on you, Jared, that might work.
I was going to say, I can see them just snap it. It hits Jared. He goes back with the ball. The holder has got him and the ball together, and they kick him and goes through. Yes.
It's fine. We got this.
Oh, my gosh. Jared.
Like I'm just holding on to the ball for dear life.
Exactly. Oh, laces out. So, Jared, what do you think? How are you thinking about we're going to look against Army?
It's going to be really interesting for sure. I mean, it just really depends on how effective the Army's run game is going to be. I mean, if Western's defense starts to wear down a lot, and also, of course, I mean, the whole thing with them getting caught off guard with the pass is going to be a big thing. Because, I mean, the secondary still isn't the strongest area of the defense. I mean, obviously, it's up front. So if they were to pass it, I think it could be more effective, but just more tastefully, maybe like 5 or 6 times for the game, not a whole lot. But if it works, then that's all that really matters to them. I think the key is definitely on Western's offense. So, like, I want to be able to see what they can do against this Army defense. Like, if Gage Walker can have another good game, get at least 100 yards, I think that would be very helpful. And, of course, Ty Story, I mean, just holding on to the football, no picks or anything dumb. Like, the very first snap that he had as a Hilltopper, which was just kind of a fluky thing anyways. But, I mean, as long as he can get some good, solid passing in and just not turn over the football. But you definitely need to have more time for your defense instead of the offense. So the offense really needs to try to kill a lot of time of possession in order to win this game, I think.
I agree with that. You want to keep Army's offense off the field.
Yeah.
I just noticed that our all-time series, we are leading that by 1 win.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying,
military.
I'm just saying that would be really awesome to stretch that to 4-2 instead of tying it up. So go and Jake, what do you think? How do you think the Tops are going to look Saturday?
I think it all depends on if they're able to stop chunk plays and keep the Army's offensive drives to like less than 6 minutes per drive. Because legitimately, I was talking a buddy of mine at work is. He's an Army kid, moved around. So he's a big Army fan. He was like, yeah, against it was either Michigan or Tulane. They chewed like half of the clock off of the quarter in one drive because their fullbacks will get you 3 yards in a cloud of dust every time. They run 4 of them. It's just kind of insane. But the deal is that the last couple of games, their leading rusher has been their quarterback. The quarterback has a decent arm, even though he doesn't throw it a lot when he does. Like I said, last time he went 9 of 14 against Tulane for some pretty decent chunk plays. And I think how I see Western being able to beat Army, at least defensively, is be able to stop any chunk plays that they might get, whether that's a 7-yard pass or a 25-yard pass over the top, because they do have some kind of over-the-top speed with a few of their guys. If they can stop the big chunk plays and just get the offense off the field within a reasonable amount of time so they're not dead by the end of the game, then I think they have a shot to win, assuming the offense just performs marginally well. If you don't and you let them their offense stay on the field for 4, 5, 6 minutes per drive, by the end of the game, they're going to be gashing us for like 10 yards a run because, like we've always talked about, these guys are. I know they said talent-wise, like, they're probably the same, whatever. That's just I don't think that's true. It's not what I've seen from Army the last 3 or 4 years since they've had back-to-back 10-win seasons. I do think we're out-athleted at a lot of positions, so it's going to be about execution. Like Matt said, the tackling this year has been excellent. They've been able to, on first contact, really bring the ball carrier down. So if you can stop the chunk plays and if you can get the offense off the field, I think you stand a good chance to win. But if not, you're going to have it's not going to be a long day because the clock's going to keep running.
Yep.
It's going to be a very, very boring 250, 300 rushing yard kind of performance that we're just all going to be like, oh my God, make it stop.
This, I agree. The only thing I've got on this is Army is like a well-oiled machine. I mean, basically they're really following orders. This isn't, so just looking back on a couple of these games, against Morgantown State, Anderson threw 7 times, and he completed 1 for a touchdown for 80 yards. So that is what you're looking at when you play a team like Army or Navy. They're going to be pounding it down your throat. They'll have one crazy little pass. You may break it up, whatever. And they may not throw again until the second quarter. I mean, you never know. And then the guy with no neck, Slumka, he had 18 carries for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. So, I mean, it's like you're saying, they're just going to beat it down your throat until you like it, and then they're going to throw it over your head when you're not ready for it. So,
yeah. And if you can just stop that and, again, keep them off the field a little bit, you stand a good chance.
Yes.
I don't know if it's as close as the 4.5 points that Vegas has bet it down to now on some sites. I'm still probably about at a touchdown.
Yeah.
But they got a shot.
So,
yeah.
Okay, so one word answer here. We'll go around the room. If Western wins by single, if they cover the spread and they lose by say 3, are you happy?
Yes.
Matt, Jared says yes. Jake, are you happy?
Losing by 3, yeah.
Okay, Matt, are you happy with losing by 3?
No, because I'd rather win. Go Tops.
I mean, obviously you would. But I still think Western's going to be in a really good spot regardless.
I think happy is probably the wrong way to phrase that. It's like,
would you be satisfied?
I'm not going to be sad. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm not going to be like, man, we should have won that, man. It's like, no, you got it.
Yeah, Matt is just completely go Tops. So no.
Seriously, okay, this is a real before this season started, I said no, not a chance in hell are we going to beat Army. But because of what they've done the last few games and done in conference and the defense and everything, I really feel like we could win this game. And I feel like it's an opportunity to let Conference USA know that we're for real, and there's nothing that would let them know that by beating a team that finished ranked last year. And I think it's an opportunity for real, and I think it's a decent matchup for us. It's not perfect, but a lot of our strengths, like discipline and guys that can move around and play on the edge and stuff like that on defense, versatility, all that kind of stuff, I feel like could play to our advantage, especially defensively. So I say let's win it.
I agree.
I'll be happy when we win it.
I agree. Is this on ESPN Plus? I gotta check it on sports. Let me see.
Oh God, I hope not. I'm glad I'm going in person if it is. That's why you always go to the games, folks. That way you don't have to endure the terrible ESPN Plus and productions.
Well, okay.
I at least
it is.
say
It's on
the
Stadium
Western
this week.
Crew is
Okay.
pretty good.
Yeah, it's on Stadium.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'll be in
don't
Stadium.
I don't know how much I appreciate Stadium, but I will say I have thoroughly enjoyed when Brandon Doughty was on ESPN Plus.
He's good, man.
He is good. He calls
Yeah,
out he calls out the coverages and everything, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, cool. This is nice.
Yeah, he does a great job.
All right, I'm trying to find it and see if I can find it on here. And this is, I don't like this site right now. Schedule, that's what I need. Okay, so yes, it is on Stadium. The game starts at 6 Central, 7 Eastern. So check that out. If you can't go in person, which I've heard there's going to be a lot of people there. I had a buddy from high school who messaged me for tickets, and I'm like, dude, I don't know anybody at Western to get you tickets. I'm sorry.
It's been a couple years, man.
Yeah, I mean, everybody I've known that was there is gone now, so I just told him to, ask around on Facebook, so we shall see. So, let's jump in the mailbag, see what we got. We've got a few questions here. Brian, I don't know if this is a question or if this is a statement, so let me read it real quick. Okay, it's a statement. We're in the rant bag. 3-0 in Conference USA is feeling very good. What a difference this season. The team is working hard to improve and have earned some home crowd love. Bring on Army and go Tops. Yes, Brian. Amen.
Kool-Aid.
Yep, Mike says we are ready for the world. Yep. Bring them on, all 7 billion of them. Matt, first question.
Is somebody going to have a "We Want Bama" sign? Please no.
I can make one if you want.
Yes, please do.
I'll make one that says "We want Alabama" and in really tiny handwriting underneath it, have it say "State" or A&M or something.
Yeah, that's what you should do.
So Matt asks, specifically to me, Devin, if you were Coach White, how do you stop Army's option attack? Okay, so traditionally you stop the triple option by having one person on the dive, one person on the quarterback, and one guy on the pitch. And so all three
I would
of those
have not a single person in the secondary. I'd have every single person on the line of scrimmage.
But see, that's where they get you. That's how they get you. You go
play.
boom, boom,
That
boom.
sounds like a touchdown every time.
Exactly, 80-yard passes. That's what we're going to get. But yeah, that's how you stop it. You have your defensive end or your defensive tackle for your dive, the fullback. You've got your end for the quarterback and your corner. Or your outside linebacker for the pitch guy. So that's what you do. You just make sure you've got everybody covered. And basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a couple extra defensive linemen or ends. And as soon as somebody's getting winded, I'm going to be like, all right, let's go in and out. Let's go in and out. And just have the best guys I can in there in the best shape they are, so we're good to go. Jared. Sorry, I'm not saying Jared. Your computer's wanting to restart on me, so not specifically yours, but the one you're on. So send us your questions on Facebook. We love answering them. We like talking to our fans, and we want to know what you're thinking. So send us what you got. Shout out to Saudi Arabia, who has 5 downloads this week.
Sweet.
Hey, there we go.
On Twitter, G5Beat says beat Army. Whoop whoop. Yep, beat Army. Michael Butler said, I feel this year's Army team is a little down from last year's. What say you? Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are a little, yeah.
We'll see. I hope they are. I hope they're down. I'd love to come in and beat them, just like Matt said. And then, I mean, as optimistic as Matt is, Jake is pessimistic. So it's a good balance.
And I'm the chaotic neutral.
Yes. Jared just giggles. He just sits and giggles, so it's fine.
You're right.
Oh my gosh. And of course Stephen Moffat says that's the general consensus from their fan base is that they're down. If you want to know the ins and outs, Ross Shercliffe did an article with Army Inside and Outside Army, excuse me guys. He did a Q&A with them. I will give you one question. And if there are any football players or staff listening, I hope this motivates you. Ross asked, how do you see the game playing out? What is your prediction? Army Dude, I don't know your name, sorry. I think this will be a close game, but I see the Black Knights winning in the end. I think the Army offense will get back to moving the ball consistently, and once the fullback dive gets rolling, there's no stopping them. Western Kentucky is definitely better than their 3-2 record, though, and if Army comes in sleeping on them just because WKU lost to UCA, they'll get beat. I don't want to label this game as a must-win for Army, but it's a must-win. If they can win this one, they have a good chance of being bowl eligible before the showdown in Colorado against Air Force. He said 28-17 his prediction. I don't know. We'll see. And actually, is that picture from Western? No. Sorry. Their stadium looks like a lot like ours on the bleacher part, but the media part is different, I guess. Sorry, I was just looking at the picture on the Towel Rack's website. Check out the Towel Rack. Articles coming out every day. Appreciate you guys. They're always doing great stuff over there, so check them out.
Dude, I do eventually want to go see. I think it would be cool to go to West Point and watch a game, because it does seem like it'd be a really interesting stadium to go to, just because of all the history with the school. I
can say that Navy at Annapolis was really cool. Matt, you made several of those trips too, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Navy once as a manager and once as a fan, and then I went to Army.
That's right.
Me, but I went up there anyway.
Which, by the way, it's probably better if you did go as a fan, because you probably got to do more.
Dude, yeah, it was awesome. They didn't travel me to Army, and I got to do the whole campus tours and everything, and Romeo Cornell was on our tour, so we talked to him a little bit.
That's awesome.
Stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. I mean,
former Hilltopper.
Honestly, like, there's such a special feeling around those academies. Like, I mean, it just makes you proud to be an American and all that stuff. I mean, it's really cool, and it's an emotional, it's a really cool thing. So regardless of if they're any good when you get the chance to go or whatever, just go and like see the pageantry of it and all that stuff. It's amazing. It's a lifetime kind of deal. I got to do it several times.
I mean, when I went to Navy, I remember they had plaques of the different wars, and there was a brief part in it, and just touching on, kind of what the Navy's job was in such and such war, what they did, yada yada, and it was really great. I thought it was amazing. It's one of those things that you wish that you weren't with the team so you could actually go out and do stuff to see, the life and times around that. But I mean, it's a lot of fun to work with the team. So those of you who want to, you should definitely try it. But yeah, it's great.
Give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot, guys. Gosh.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Matt and I can both say that we both enjoyed it. So, well, Matt enjoyed most of it. I'll say that.
And if you're in the area too, try to make plans to go Saturday. It's Military Appreciation Day. They're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff. Plus, the weather is supposed to be freaking awesome. I mean, it's going to be a good game to watch, regardless of what happens. I think it's going to be pretty close. So, I mean, yeah, these games are always really good to come to. I don't think Caboni's going to be coming out of a parachute like Ransdale did, but it'll still be worth going to, I hope.
Oh, my gosh. That would be amazing. Yeah, I agree, Jared. Did I dream this, or are they breaking out the red, white, and blue stickers?
Yeah, they're breaking out the American flag towel helmets, which is pretty cool.
Love those. Those are my favorite. By far my favorite. I believe was it the 10th anniversary of 9/11 we did that, Matt?
Yeah, I think it was.
And I think, did we play Army or Navy at home? Is that right? No.
It was Navy.
Navy, yeah, you're right. Yep. That was a really fun night, too. I don't have anything else, guys. I know it's kind of a crazy episode tonight, but I appreciate y'all being patient with me and my remodeling that I get to do.
Yay, toilets.
Yeah, that was another thing. I got to install toilets. Fun, quick story. I was installing one of the toilets, not thinking about the wallpaper being wet, and I did the cardinal sin that you're not supposed to do, and I stuck my hand against the wall. as I went to stand up, and there went probably about 6 inches of wallpaper I tore. And I was like, son of a biscuit. Luckily, the wallpaper guy's still there. Hopefully not right now, because it's about 9 o'clock. But, so he was supposed to finish up tomorrow morning, I think. Which is Friday, for those of you listening, because this is when the episode will drop. But we appreciate y'all listening. Check out the football game. Check out volleyball, soccer, baseball, all those good things on Facebook, on HSSN. Watch the game on Stadium if you can't make it. If you can make it, the guys would really appreciate it. And as always, guys, check out the Towel Rack and check out RedOUT on all the good social media stuff, all right? And as always, guys, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Go Tops.